Let's start the podcast. You're listening to the Off the Cliff Sports podcast. I'm your host, Cliff Jacks. Thank you for listening in for another week. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @Cliff_Sports. Our Instagram handle is OfftheCliff_Sports. Of course, you can listen to all the episodes at OfftheCliff-Sports.podbean.com. And you can actually even email us at OfftheCliff-Sports@gmail.com. Plus, we are giving a gift card away once we get to 65 followers on Twitter. So tell your friends, coworkers to go out there and follow us on Twitter, and we'll randomly select a winner of a gift card once we get up to 65 followers. I'm looking for your guys' help to get there. So later in the show, we're going to talk a little bit about the NFL and the franchise tag. Nightmare for some of the players that know they're good, but the owners don't want to pay them. Here comes the franchise tag. We're going to talk about that later on in this show. Also, we're going to get into the NBA and what went wrong with the Los Angeles Lakers. A season of possibilities turned into a season of nightmares, I think. Or did they? We'll talk about that. Plus, King James, one of the best basketball players of all time. Whether he's the GOAT or not, it's going to be debated for years. We'll talk about King James and what he accomplished over the week. After a quick break, I'm going to get back with you, and we're going to kick off with a little bit of Boston Celtics LA Laker turmoil. Be right back with you on Off the Cliff Sports. Cliff Jacks. Talk to you in a minute. Saturday night, the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers have a game against each other. Nationally televised game, which back when the schedule was created, it looked like that was going to be a nice game with a bunch of fireworks. You got LeBron James on one side. You got his good old buddy Kyrie Irving on the other side. And the young, flammable Celtics against the young baby Lakers. But turns out this game probably is going to be a dud. What happened to two of the most historic franchises in the NBA, the Celtics and the Lakers? The Celtics side of things, the chemistry just hasn't been there. This week, though, they've had a little success, won a couple games, but you still can see the young players meshing with Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward is just not there. A lot of up and downs for the Celtics, and because of that, I don't see the Celtics getting to the NBA Finals. I can see them winning their first round series, but I think they're going out in the second round if they play Milwaukee or if they play Toronto. They just don't have it. And on the other side of the ball, the good old Los Angeles Lakers not panned out as they should. The team put together is not a good team. Let's just be honest. This team has some old players. Then you have a group of young players, and the old players and the young players, they don't mix. And the most important thing of them all, the Lakers cannot shoot the three ball. The Lakers are horrible at shooting. They don't have a knockdown shooter that if he's open, he's going to hit, like a Klay Thompson or a Korver. They don't have a player like that. And you have to have that in this NBA, especially with LeBron James, because he's a facilitator. He wants to drive to the hole, kick, and have somebody shoot an open three, which with the Cavs last year, although they wasn't that good of a team, they still got to the finals, but they had knockdown shooters. And so this year, Magic Johnson, Rob Pelinka have not put together a team that can compete. early in the year, they were in the fourth spot in the West. They were looking really good. Next thing you know, LeBron was injured, and at that point, the season was over. Even the King can't get this team to where it needs to be to compete in the Western Conference in the NBA. But if you're like me, you didn't look for the Lakers to win anything this year. You kind of knew this year was going to be a year to try to set up for next year. See if they can get that next big free agent to come in here to help LeBron. LeBron has needed help anywhere he goes, which there's no one superstar that's going to win in this NBA. It's not going to happen. You got to have somebody else that can carry some of the load. Next year for both of those teams are going to be critical. One for Boston, can they keep Kyrie Irving? Can they bring in another superstar player? For the Lakers, will they be able to get Anthony Davis? Remains to be seen. Kevin Durant, will he come to LA and play with LeBron? Even though he said he didn't want to play with LeBron, but players say a lot of things that they don't mean. The good old NCAA tournament is about to begin. The ladies' side, because they're right now in the conference tournament, you have the big dogs at the top, of course. UConn actually is in second right now. They have 2 losses this year, which is shocking. 2 losses in a season for UConn could be considered a bad season. You have Baylor, who has 1 loss. Cookie has those girls back up there, and they're balling out. But I want you to watch out for Mississippi State and Notre Dame. Those are my 2 sleepers to, one, get to the Final Four and to have a chance of winning it all. Notre Dame has the ladies' version of Kobe Bryant on their team. The young lady, she's pretty good. She can pass, she can defend, she can score. Somebody to watch out for if you catch any of that women's NCAA tournament. Be sure to check it out. Major League Baseball opens up on March 28th. The earliest that Major League Baseball has opened up ever. 162 games of baseball. Some games in the sun, some games indoors, depending on where you live at. I think I'm going to catch more baseball games this year than last year. I have to say, I was very bad at catching baseball last year. I think I watched maybe 5 games total, which is terrible. I mean, I like baseball, but unfortunately, it's not one of the sports I'll just stop what I'm doing to go watch. But I will try to catch a little more baseball action this year because if I'm going to be able to talk to you guys about baseball, I got to know what's going on. I mean, the Boston Red Sox are still loaded. They have a chance to get back to the World Series. The Yankees, I don't know where they're at right now. I don't know if they have the pitching to get them there this year. I can tell you the Houston Astros still have a strong squad. And can one player make a difference? I believe the Philadelphia Phillies are going to show you that one player could make a difference. Bryce Harper is here. I think they're going to surprise a few teams if their pitching can hold up. I wouldn't even be shocked if the San Diego Padres, who made a big splash, have a better year than a lot of people think. Baseball is one of those sports that it's a long season, a lot can happen. You need more than one player to really make a difference, but you just got to gel at the right time. Gel at the right time, have a good bullpen. Anybody can be successful. And you got to have the ownership that wants to win. You can't come All-Star break, start selling off the whole team just to save money. We'll see how that works out for the baseball teams and what they got to accomplish. I'm going to come back and we're going to get on top of the cliff. We're going to go up there. We're going to invite somebody to the top of the cliff with me. Don't go anywhere. Off the Cliff Sports. I'm your host, Cliff Jacks, back with you. And at this point, I should play some nice old school soft music in the background, but I'm not going to do that. It's time for Top of the Cliff. And today we're going to invite Mr. David Irving, formerly of the Dallas Cowboys, to the top of the cliff. David Irving was suspended indefinitely the other day from the NFL for violating the substance abuse policy, which a lot of players are having this issue in the NFL. Something has to give. But Mr. Irvin had some crazy statements that he made, and I'll let you hear some of those statements. What you're about to hear is courtesy of the Budfather on Instagram. Here's David.
Pass the blunt, bro. It's too weed, you're addicted to this and that. I mean, shit, if I'm going to be addicted to something, I'd rather be marijuana, which is medical. It's medicine. I do not consider it a drug, rather than the Xanax bars or the Hydros or the Seroquel and all that crazy shit that they feed you, you know? So, like I said, it ain't about smoking weed. How many NBA players you see getting in trouble about this? How many coaches you see getting in trouble about this? How many baseball players get in trouble? How many UFC players get in trouble? How many actors? You know, how many people get in trouble over it? Not many, but you just see as football players. NFL gonna, I love, listen.
Moment of silence. That was David Irvin and his rant, I guess you would say. Me personally, I hope that somebody comes out and say, David, he apologized for what he said. He's been having a couple issues. He's getting help for those issues, and he moves on. Because this is what I know. David Irvin has a kid. David Irvin is making more money than your average Cliff, your everyday Cliff, your everyday Joe makes playing in the NFL. He has a chance to set his kid up for a long time. Playing in the AAF or the XFL is not going to make the money that the NFL makes. I don't know what he was thinking. He was taking shots, I guess you could say, at all the other professional sports, but David, you don't play those sports. So it doesn't matter what they're doing in those sports. Apples and oranges. David, join me at the top of the cliff. Like I always tell everybody, what you do when you get to the top of the cliff, it has nothing to do with me. But some of your statements and your antics are ludicrous. You put yourself in this situation. You had a chance to make generational wealth for your family. Not necessarily all with money, but you were going to make some good money, and you could use that money to do other things, provide for your family in other ways. But the weed was stronger. The weed has your mind. I hope, David, you find some help out there and you can get yourself in a better situation. And maybe in 12 months, although you said you quit, in 12 months, maybe you can go back and rejoin the NFL and try to recoup something of what you're about to lose. David, Irvin, please join me on top of the cliff. We're going to come back, you all, and we're going to talk a little football. Since we're on that topic anyway, stay tuned. You're listening to the Off the Cliff Sports podcast. Your host, Cliff Jacks here, and Everyday Cliff, talking to all my everyday Joes and everyday Janes out there. Let's talk a little bit about the NFL and the franchise tag. The franchise tag designates a team's ability to keep a player from becoming an unrestricted free agent for the next playing season. The franchise tag has been used by most teams on some of their top-notch players because one or two things. One, they don't want to let the guy go. But two, they don't want to pay the guy. So they would rather pay the guy the average of the top 5 players of the position than actually making a splash and having to sign a long-term deal for the player. This played out a couple years ago with Le'Veon Bell of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They franchised him. It's like, okay, cool. They franchised him. Come back last year, and they franchised Le'Veon for the second season in a row. But this time, Mr. Bell said, no, I'm not playing under the franchise tag. 1 year is not a commitment. If I get hurt that 1 year, you win. You don't have to pay me after that. So Le'Veon Bell actually set out the entire NFL season last year, which probably cost Pittsburgh a good shot at getting to the Super Bowl. Le'Veon Bell is, at that time, one of the top 2, 3 running backs in the league. So once he comes back this year as an unrestricted free agent, we don't know where he's going to be at. This year, the franchise tag came. Well, before we get to this year, let's go back also to Mr. Kirk Cousins, currently quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, but Kirk was franchised 2 years in a row by the Washington Redskins. And in those 2 years, Kirk Cousins made about $40 million. Now, the difference between Kirk Cousins and Le'Veon Bell, Kirk Cousins isn't a top 5 quarterback. So he was making top 5 quarterback money when he most likely shouldn't have. But playing a little decent, it had the Minnesota Vikings decide, hey, Kurt, you're our man. And they paid Kurt, after he was franchised for 2 years and $40 million, the Minnesota Vikings came and paid Kirk Cousins $80 million guaranteed money to play quarterback. And what did it do for him last year? Absolutely nothing. Because Kirk Cousins is not that guy. Anybody that thinks he is that guy, you're wrong. He's not that guy. So, the franchise tag, it's not there for the players. And the NFL Players Association really needs to get rid of that franchise tag at their next meetings. Or else, I hate to see it happen, but I think we're going to have an NFL strike coming up. No football unless they get some replacement players out there. But since they got the AAF and the XFL next year, I guess they'll have 2 leagues they can say, hey, we need you to come play on this NFL circuit for us. But it's totally for the owners, not for the players. I personally don't think you should be able to franchise a player, which they do in baseball. They have that version of it in baseball as well. Once a player signs a contract, at the end of that contract, that player is a free agent. Now, if you do something like they do in the NBA where the home team can offer that player an extra year compared to what other teams can offer them, okay, that's fine. But being able to say, hey, I'm going to put you on this franchise, you either play for this amount or you can decide to sit out if you feel like it and you don't get paid. Interesting. But all these rules were written up years and years ago, and certain people made the rules, and those certain people just are not with the times. We're not in the 60s anymore. We're not in the 70s anymore. It's a new generation. The players are going to have to stand up and let the owners know, hey, we're equal in this. Without the players, there's no NFL. The owners have the money, but you can pay scrubs and nobody will watch. You got to pay your stars and you got to be fair with your stars. NFL do the right thing. Players Association, don't let the NFL control you to the point where you're not helping your players. That's all we're going to talk about that. We're going to get off that NFL topic. It is free agency. Lots going on. Antonio Brown still looking for a home. Pittsburgh, I thought, had a trade before this podcast with the Buffalo Bills, but that trade kind of fell through. I think Antonio Brown may have had something to do with it falling through. I don't think he wanted to play in Buffalo, especially not with the quarterback they have. Josh Allen's a good athlete, but don't know about a quarterback. Looks like not Antonio. Looks like Michael Bennett may be going back to the Patriots after today. The Patriots told Trey Flowers, we're not going to pay you the money you want, so it's time for you to move on. The Miami Dolphins even cut Danny Amendola. They let him have his walking papers. Dallas Cowboys might need to take a look at that because Cole Beasley wants his money. Amendola might be cheaper. It's gonna be a lot of more football transactions, and next week hopefully I'll have a bigger amount of information for you, give you some more to talk about, see who's made a splash, who's signed where, and get ready for the NFL draft. Let's move from one professional sport over to the next professional sport, the NBA. What happened to the Los Angeles Lakers? This season totally didn't go the way they wanted. It started well when this past summer, King James said, I'm taking my talents to Hollywood. So things started out in place. At that point, Rob Pelinka and Magic started piecing together a team. Unfortunately, the pieces they pieced together with what was already there does not mesh. You have some young guys, Lonzo Ball, who from day one I knew he was not going to be the star that people kept thinking, oh, he might be. He's a serviceable point guard because he's very good at passing the rock. He can rebound, solid on defense, can't shoot though. But he could play a solid point guard for a good team. He could be a good point guard. He probably could average 8 to 12 assists on the right team very easily. But you have Bull, you have Kuzma. Kuzma's going to be a baller. Whatever team he's going to be on, he's going to be on. He's going to be a baller. You have Brandon Ingram, who, when I saw him in college, he reminded me, hey, that's going to be the next Kevin Durant. He hasn't developed into that role, so can't give him that status at this moment. But those young Lakers was paired up with Rajon Rondo, who is a dog. He likes the ball. He's going to be tough on the players. He's going to get nasty, and you're going to have to compete. And then you had Joel McGee, Michael Beasley, Lance Stevenson. So you had young guys, you had old guys to mix with LeBron, but you forgot about shooters. LeBron needs shooters. He needs 3-and-D guys, guys that want to play defense, guys want to shoot the ball. And since you didn't give LeBron that, this Laker team has ended up being a laughingstock, to be honest. No one fears the Lakers, even with LeBron on their team. Something's going to have to change next year. I know before the trade deadline, the Lakers really thought they were going to get Anthony Davis with the power move they made. But unfortunately, hey, the New Orleans Pelicans said, we're going to stick to our guns. We can get more from him in the summertime. And no Laker trade happened. Feel bad for those people out in sunny Los Angeles. Okay, who am I kidding? I'm not a Laker fan. I like the old school Lakers, Magic and all, but I've never been a fan. So it is what it is. Unfortunately, this season there may not be any play. Oh, my bad. There will be playoffs in Los Angeles. It'll just be the Clipper red and blue and not the Laker purple and gold. Poor LeBron James. Let's take it away from the poor LeBron James and go over to King James and the dreams he had. Growing up, King James said, I want to be like Mike. Michael Jordan, that is. LeBron came into the NFL as the chosen one by someone that gave him that nickname. And I think all those dreams of being like Mike turned into nightmares for LeBron early on in his career. Losing in the finals with the Cavs to the Spurs. Then 2011, losing in the final to my Dallas Mavericks. Until 2012, when LeBron got his chemistry going with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, and the Heat went on to win back-to-back championships. I think it could have even been a third title in that dynasty if they had stayed together longer than they did. But things haven't always been roses for LeBron. There's been some tough times because LeBron started the superpowers or the super teams that are now playing in the NBA. He started it, but the Warriors did it better. And so right now in the NBA, we look at the Warriors as that dynasty that LeBron could have had if he had stayed in Miami and fought through some of the turmoil they were going through. LeBron the other night passed Michael Jordan for fourth on the scoring list. Fourth in the NBA in scoring. That means he scored a lot of points. LeBron isn't your normal scorer. LeBron likes to pass the ball. LeBron likes to rebound. He likes to get triple doubles because he's an all-around player. But the fact that he passed Jordan as fourth, major kudos. I'm not going to say he's better than Jordan, but major kudos for fourth in the NBA in scoring. LeBron James also is the only player in the top 10 in scoring and assists in NBA history. I don't know if there's anybody that's going to get in that category with LeBron, to be honest with you. Top 10 in scoring and assists. That might be a category he has all to himself. So, LeBron did make history. He thanked Jordan in history. He even had a nice little write-up on his shoe as he was playing the game. And unfortunately, the game he played was more about him breaking that record than the Lakers winning because the Lakers got manhandled in the game. But records are meant to be broken. Some of them are. Russell Westbrook is Mr. Triple-Double now. And everyone thought that would have been the big O. But 3 years in a row, Russell's averaged a triple-double. So lots of records are coming down. Steph Curry's has taken a three-point record, and he's probably going to put it out of reach from anybody. So that's how things going in this day and age in the NBA. It'd be nice, though, if they let the players play a little more, get a little more contact in it. But honestly, I love the high scoring, so I can't deny. LeBron James, what he has to do now is take this summer and enjoy with his family, which I know he's a family man through and through. So he loves being able to go into his son's games, his daughter's events, spending time with his wife. So it's good probably for him to take this break, come back next year, reload, see what other records he can break, see if he can get the Lake Show back as the talk of the town. Because right now the Clippers, even when we thought the Clippers were about to lay down after they made some trades, I really thought the Clippers was like, okay, we're going to try to get in this lottery. But Doc Rivers got those guys playing, and they're playing for playoff positioning. Surprising. King James, you're one of the best of all time. Remember that. You are one of the best of all time. You'll never be Michael Jordan because of the dog that Jordan had in him that LeBron doesn't have. But LeBron is a super player, and he can do some things Mike can't do. But at the end of the day, once you put everything together, the king will come in second behind his airness, MJ, Michael Jordan. That's my takes. Everyday Cliff, my opinion. If you got an opinion that's different than mine, by all means, reach out to me on Instagram, Twitter, and let me know your opinions. Remember, once we get to 65 followers on Twitter, we will be doing a giveaway. So make sure you're following us. The handle is at Cliff_Sports. Follow us. We are active on Twitter a lot, so we try to update you on articles that we see and information that we get. I'm here for you. Let's take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to get a few other things out there. Talk to you in a moment on Off the Cliff Sports. Cliff Jack's back with you on Off the Cliff Sports. Just to break up the sports talk a little bit, I'm going to give you a quick little recipe here. Something you may know about, something you may not know about. A lot of people call them peanut butter chews. Back in Arkansas, we used to call it cornflake candy. It's a nice little treat, very sweet and easy to make. All you need is some corn syrup, sugar, peanut butter, and of course cornflakes. Nice little treat. You make it up, pour it out onto a sheet pan just like you would do Rice Krispies or something. Very nice treat. Again, you need peanut butter, corn syrup, we like K-Roll, favorite brand, sugar, and corn flakes. Let me know about some of the treats that you guys out there eat, something that's not your everyday treat. Let me know on podbean.com under the episode. Post it in there. Or send me a tweet. Just let me know what you're talking about. We're going to get into our quick takes so we can wrap this episode up this week. We're going to start our quick takes out in NCAA college men's basketball, where the Kansas City Jayhawks, for the first time in 15 years, did not win the conference or was co-champs in the conference. The tide in college basketball is changing ever so slowly. Duke did get a roster full of studs: Zion Williams, RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish. Kentucky had a few 5 stars, but nowadays these college athletes understand, hey, I'm going for 1 year and I'm going to the league no matter what I say or tell the people. So a lot of them are like saying, hey, why do I need to go here or there? I could just go play in my hometown or play close to home and do it that way. I do think the ones that go to Coach K, go to Bill Self, go to Roy Williams, they know they're going to a legendary coach. So 1, they're going to get primetime games. 2, they're going to get some coaching that's probably needed heading into the NBA. But the Jayhawks are just having a tough year this year. The Big 12 is pretty evened out. A lot of teams up there at the top playing well. Next quick take, the NHL. For all my hockey fans out there, I can't leave you guys out. Currently, in your standings with the season winding down, almost playoff time, you have the Tampa Bay Lightning leading the Atlantic Division. The Washington Capitals, led by Alex Ovechkin, one of the best players in the league, leading the Metropolitan Division. The Winnipeg Jets, from up in Canada, is leading the Central Division. And the Calgary Flames, some more of our Canada friends, are leading the Pacific. Hockey will come down to who has a hot goalie. I don't think home ice plays as big of a part as if you have a hot goalie, because a goalie can make a difference in the NHL. From the little I know about hockey and watching, I've seen where an 8 seed, 7 seed, 6 seed, they get hot and they make a run. Goalies are important, just as important as the star players, if you ask me. One bit of news from the NHL that I found out, totally didn't know about. One of their top executives for the NHL, her name is Kim Davis. Kim Davis is an African American lady that's the executive over social media growth initiatives for the National Hockey League. So she's over trying to grow the game, incorporate more ethnic backgrounds into the game, and the social media aspect. Hockey has been around a while, and I would say you may have 3% of the hockey players African American. Pretty much for the most part in hockey, you have our Canadians, you have our French, you have some Russian players, and some of our U.S. Caucasian players. But definitely diversity is not big in hockey. I've went to a few hockey games, and you could count the different ethnic groups at the games. That's something that can improve, and I believe a lot of people of color would definitely kind of enjoy hockey if they go to the game. It's a lot better in person than it is on TV. You'll be kind of shocked at all the violence and the contact and the things that go on. Something worth trying. If you live in the city with hockey, hey, see if you can catch some good cheap tickets and go out there and check it out. But Mrs. Davis, congratulations on your position. I think she's been in that role for 16 or 18 months. Very interesting that she's in that role, and I'm gonna read more up on it myself to try to find out more info. It's kind of interesting role for an African American lady at that. Also, the NBA has its 2K League, which is a video league for the NBA. I think there are 19 teams, maybe 21 teams. I'm not totally sure on how many teams. I know we have one here in Dallas that Mark Cuban backs, and of course the whole NBA backs it. Interesting. And those young men and women make a decent living for about 3-4 months. They average out about $33,000 to $37,000 for their season to play video game NBA 2K. What a job. I think I might brush off my video game skills and possibly try to see if I can get that as my side gig. Reason I bring that up, we had the first woman player to actually get drafted by one of the 2K teams. Shaquita Evans. She was drafted in the second round with the 56 pick, I think, 58 maybe. Don't hurt me if I'm wrong on the pick. But Mrs. Evans is the first female to be drafted to one of the 2K League teams. So I think that's a pretty big deal. I hope you guys like those quick takes we went over. Something different for you. I want to try to keep you on your toes, and it has me doing research, so you definitely better listen, because I got to do the backup work. But now you can go out there and do a little more research and get to know a little more about Mrs. Davis and Mrs. Evans and Kansas City. The Jayhawks failing to be champs or co-champs. The only thing left we got, guys, is the quote of the day. I'm going to come back on Off the Cliff Sports and give you some wisdom. Don't go anywhere. Cliff Jacks back at you. Before I give you the quote of the day, just wanted to bring up a quick topic. This weekend, the Arnold Palmer Invitation is being played. One of the mid-tier golf tournaments. And a senior ESPN writer, Michael Collins, made a statement after Tiger Woods told everyone he was withdrawing from this tournament because he had a neck strain. Michael Collins wanted to ask if Tiger knew he was hurt prior to the previous tournament he played in Mexico. Why did he play in that tournament and risk not playing in the Arnold Palmer Invitation? Michael Collins, I've read some of his work, and he does a pretty good job, so no beef with him, but why can't we let Tiger Woods be Tiger Woods and be at peace? I know he's had a lot of dreams and nightmares, because when he plays, it's something. If he doesn't play, it's something else. Tiger, you got a lot of people on your side. There's a lot of us out there backing you, and we can't wait till we get that next major victory and prove all the doubters wrong. That being said, your quote of the day is going to come from Tiger Woods. Real, plain, and simple. Tiger Woods says, winning solves everything. One more time, that quote. Winning solves everything. From Tiger Woods. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Everyday Joes, Everyday Janes out there. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you listening to Off the Cliff Sports. Please continue to listen. Continue to follow me. Let's make this thing big, because we're an everyday person. We're not superstars. We're just us. Thank you for your time. Off the Cliff Sports, Cliff Jacks signing off. Have a great rest of your day, night, evening, depending on where you're at. Off the Cliff Sports.